Hi, everyone. Welcome to Health Coach Impact. This is Michelle Landry, your host. And Health Coach Impact is the show where we spotlight health coaches from all over in all different areas with all different niches, and just talk and have a conversation and allow you as the audience to listen in and to be a part of this conversation. Just email me at healthcoachimpact@gmail.com. And today we have Sheila Petersen. Sheila is an IIN grad from 2011, and I'm really excited to be able to talk to you, Sheila, about everything that you've gone through, what your health coaching experience has been, and what got you here. So let's jump right into it. So thanks, Sheila, for being on the show.
Thanks, Michelle. So excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm excited for this conversation. So tell me, Sheila, what got you into health coaching? What was that big push for you to get into health coaching?
Well, that's a great question. So the short version is I spent 20 years in the corporate space doing technology, IT, inside sales, project management. And while I was very good at it, at the same time, I sort of hit a crossroads in my health, and I was experiencing a lot of physical pain in my body. I had two bunion foot surgeries. I developed bursitis in my piriformis and low back. So that's sort of the end version of it. But I started off on the journey of going to a medical professional. And I started, being prescribed pills and patches and shots and physical therapy. And so I went off on that journey. And I was also working with a personal trainer. So he was actually the one that started me on keeping a food journal and noticing how I felt when I added in certain foods and how I felt when I removed certain foods. So all of these sort of light bulbs were going off, and I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm 32 years old. I don't want to be on prescriptions the rest of my life. I feel too young to feel this old. And so I really started that curiosity and that learning and tried to understand this situation that I was experiencing. And so I would just rack my brain, like, is this physical pain? Is it mental pain? Is it emotional pain? Like, what's happening here? And what's within my control to solve this problem? So that's really how the journey started. I started doing some searching, and I came across personal training. I came across nutritionist, dietitian, and the like. And then I found the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and I thought, well, this has to be too good to be true. So I'm so grateful that I found that school. It's completely changed my life, and it's continued me on the path to healing, because it never ends, right? It's always an evolving, learning and growing process.
Yes, it definitely is. And through that process, what did you like most about going through IIN, or just, becoming a health coach? What was it that really sparked you?
Well, I remember clearly one night I was standing in the kitchen with my husband, and I said, I want to do something different. And I asked myself, what do I like? And I said, I like food and I like helping people. So I knew those two things. And so that's why I was so grateful to find IIN, because, we studied all the dietary theories. I thought I was a healthy individual, but it turns out I wasn't reading nutrition labels. I wasn't understanding the ingredients I was putting in my body. I was eating microwave dinners thinking, again, I was healthy, thinking, again, I was getting enough physical activity. But the one key thing that I still use in my practice today, 8 years later, is the circle of life. And it's not just the food on our plate. It's our relationships that we keep. It's the work that we do. It's our creativity in our home environment. So, like they say, you can eat all the organic produce in the world, but if you're not happy in your career or your relationships, etc., then why does that really matter, right? And so it's really finding that bio-individuality, that balance that's going to work for you. And I really am a true believer that no one way works for everybody, because we're all unique. So someone that's going to do a vegan diet, for example, might not be as successful as someone who really resonates with a paleo diet, right? So, but I believe in adding in the whole food nutrition, reading those labels, understanding what you're putting into your body and how it's affecting and making you feel. And that's really sort of my navigation and how I approach my day today.
Yeah, I mean, what people that are outside of our field, because we're inundated with this all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
it's something that, you know, we live and we breathe and we, you know, we walk our talk, because if we don't, there's no way that we can portray that to someone else and be able to really be that example. And as health coaches, that's something that is part of our lives, is being that healthy example, or just even being that example of what you were talking about, you know, being happy in your work, in your life, you know, spiritually, mentally. Those are things that aren't talked about in the traditional sense, right? Right. When you go to the doctor, it's all, you know, what can you do to help me and fix it? Just fix it really quick.
Right. Take away the pain.
Right, exactly. So I love how you've taken the circle of life. So can you kind of explain that to our audience, what the circle of life is?
Absolutely.
And how you utilize it in your practice?
For sure. I think it's a great question. And, you know, this whole world was new to me as well. And once I started doing some Google searching and learning more about coaches and health and wellness, it sort of just opened the floodgates of all this knowledge and information out there, which can get very overwhelming, right? One article we read might say, yeah, this way is great. And then the next article is saying, no, don't do it that way. And so it's very confusing and overwhelming. And yeah, to your point, you know, my doctor, they're not trained in health coaching, right? They're not trained in nutrition and the foods on our plate. I think more and more some doctors and functional doctors are becoming more open to that, really getting to the root of the issue, not just masking things with pills and prescriptions, right? Now, I believe that there is a world that needs both. And how can we combine those two? For example, I always joke, you know, if I cut my arm, I'm not going to take some turmeric root, I'm going to go to the hospital. So, you know, there's a lot of times I'm hearing from my clients, there's this perfectionism, right? Like I have to do all the food right. I have to work out every day. I have to, you know, do all the things. And I think that just leads to overwhelm, and it's a trap. So I think pick one thing that you could master. Maybe it's just drinking water every day. You know, I'm guilty. I'm telling on myself. I thought I was drinking enough water and I wasn't. And so sometimes we forget about the little things that we can do for our self-care. And I think going back to your question, the circle of life is a really nice visual on, you know, where am I spending my time and energy? Where are the areas of life that maybe I'm not spending so much time and energy, and they might be suffering, right? And so it's just shining a light on those areas and saying, hey, you know, my creativity, like, I don't even know what that means, but maybe it's taking an art class, or maybe it's going to take a walk with your friend and brainstorm some ideas. So it doesn't have to cost a lot. I think that's the other thing. It doesn't have to cost a lot to be healthy. There are simple, free things we can do to maintain our self-care. And I really teach a lot about self-care. And self-care to a lot of women especially feels very selfish, right? And I'm a big proponent of getting to a mindset where we feel selfless about it, because we have to take care of ourselves, especially when we're holding space for so many others.
Exactly.
And that's a really good tool. No judgment, but just to gain some clarity and focus. It's like turning that GPS on. It's having some steps to put in place, some little micro goals each day of what you're going to do. Not beat yourself up. Do the best you can. Tomorrow's a new day. So that's just really a nice visual. And then we can check in on that in 3 months, 6 months, what have you, to see, oh, look at that. I spent a little more time and energy. I carved out 20 minutes of my schedule. Look at that improvement now, where I'm feeling happier in that area. Right.
I love how you put it in the term of micro goals. When I'm talking with my clients, it's like I call them small hinges swing big doors.
Oh, I love that.
Because it does. It's just these little tiny things. Matter of fact, I was talking to a client yesterday, a health coaching client, because I have both business and health coaching clients. But I was talking to a health coaching client yesterday, and I'm like, okay, let's try these little things. She's like, that's going to really make a big difference. And I said, let's try it for the next 3 weeks, which I know for a fact she's going to see some really big results from those things. But it seems, according to the big world, view of things, it seems so insignificant at times. But those things do make a big difference. They do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's those little tiny shifts that are going to bring those big results. And I think that's the beauty of having a coach, is to have that accountability, to have that support, and to not dismiss these breakthroughs, right? Because we can't see our own blind spot. And so when we have that other person as our mirror, so to speak, that can be pointing those things out for us and reminding us, oh yeah, like I did do a really good job with that. And focus on that and build, right? And build on the things that you're grateful for, where you're seeing those little micro successes. That's really powerful.
Right, exactly. So in your opinion, what would the difference be between being a true health coach and then just a life coach? What would you say would be the differences there?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Sometimes people work better off of goals. Sometimes people work better off of having a vision and creating that vision. And once we have a vision, we can start creating goals underneath that and work backwards, right? So, lots of times people will come to me for weight loss, but I believe that weight loss is just a byproduct of all the healthy goals you're going to put into place, right? So if you're really honed in on, I've got to lose weight, I've got to lose weight, I've got to lose weight, nothing's working, I've tried everything, you're so hyper-focused on that goal that you're missing all these other things out here, yeah? Yes. So what we do is we take the focus off of that, we put that over here, and we start creating other things in place of that. So really, to the heart of your question, I think it taps in a little bit more to the emotional intelligence and the social intelligence side of things, which I'm really studying now on a psychology and neuroscience level. And that is, very simply put, what matters to you?
Exactly.
What do you like? What matters to you? And again, not to knock doctors, but your doctors aren't talking to you about your stress. They're not talking to you about what makes you happy. This is the beauty, again, of coaching, because we can spend that hour with you per week, per month, every 2 weeks, whatever that program looks like, to really have a safe space for you to share these things that are coming up in your life, right? And so I would say, to answer your question, the life coaching is more, can we understand what matters to us? Can we understand our emotions and how to manage those and not suppress them? Can we get to our deeper yearnings? Because we all have deeper yearnings to love and be loved, to touch and be touched, to be affirmed, to be nourished, to be understood, to contribute, to matter, to make a difference. And I really believe that when we can be connected to that space and place, then we start to create a vision that allows us to get what we want and make us happy and feel fulfilled in all those key areas of life. So that's more the life focus. If we can master that, we can achieve any goal, frankly.
Exactly. So when you talk about working with or supplementing other practitioners, I love how you had really rounded out what it is that a health coach does, because other practitioners, some practitioners just don't even understand what a health coach is. So speaking to those practitioners, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I almost see it as a care team. Not one person is going to be able to solve all the things, right? And so you may not resonate with one or the other, for example. So I sort of like to envision it as a care team. And who are those people that are your practitioners and sort of your specialists in your world that can help navigate these things for you, right? So, health coach is sort of a term like the word organic or like detox. It has different meanings to different people. But I really simply put it is, a health coach will talk to you about the food on your plate and the food that's off your plate. Essentially, it's all the things in your life that are going to nourish you. And it's not just food, right? But food could be the gateway and the starting point. Or it might be something like a relationship or career. And once you start to see one or the other get in balance, you'll start to see those other areas of life start to conform to that. Yeah. So I believe that we can all work together and really have a communication that puts the patient or client first. And the whole goal is wellness and feeling your best, right?
Right. Exactly. So with your clients, who do you tend to, or who tends to resonate more with what you do and what your message is?
That's a great question. I've coached all across the board in the past 8 years, as young as 8 years old to as young as 67 years old. So it's quite a wide range of people. But I'm really honing in and focusing on busy, stressed out professionals and really using the emotional intelligence piece as a catalyst to open that conversation. And then every 2 weeks, deepen that conversation and really build that trust and rapport with somebody because, right, we all have a yearning for deeper connection, right? If we're finding ourselves scrolling social media or snacking late at night, we kind of call those things soft addictions. But essentially underneath that, what we really yearn for is that deeper connection. And that's why the social platforms are such a, fantastic place to get that. But sometimes we're not truly having that deep connection through what we might intentionally set out for. Make sense?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really getting people honed in on what their yearning is, how is that linked to their emotions, and what's the vision we could set in place to start working towards. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So those busy professionals out there that are maybe listening in, Sheila would be a really, really good connection for you to make. So if you're on LinkedIn, definitely reach out to Sheila. So at this point, what type of projects and things do you have going on, Sheila? What do you have in the works?
Oh, that's a great question. And I've got a story for you on that. So what I've created is, people are busy and they are stressed. And most people I talk to are just trying to survive and get through their day or their to-do list, right? I want to create a world where people are thriving, not just surviving. And so what that looks like is, again, just having a powerful conversation to understand what your needs are and to see if we might be a match in creating a program that's going to fit for you. So a really nice thing that I've executed is created a half-day VIP program. And that can be done locally in Chicago, or it can be done over video. What's really beautiful about that is we take about 4 hours and we're going to focus in on that one major challenge that you have. And for example, I had someone connect with me on LinkedIn just last week. He said, Sheila, I'm goalless. I don't have a vision. I don't have any clarity or focus. Like, what should I be doing? And I said, well, what do you know? And he says, well, the 2 things I know is I want to switch industries and I want to move to San Diego. And I want to do that in 2 months. That was it. And he said, oh, by the way, my health has suffered. I've gained about 20 pounds and I just broke up with my girlfriend. So a lot of stuff there. So we came to the conclusion that the job was going to be the priority. So I'm happy to say we met for 4 hours. We visioned everything out. We got our Post-its out. We got LinkedIn pulled up. And within less than a week, he's got his first job interview in California, which is what he visioned. And his interview is today. So that's just the power of connecting and just creating this vision for yourself and just executing it. So it sounds simple, and it can be. So that's one of the beautiful things that I offer. I also have just 3-month program, a full day VIP program, but it's a program that I always say is customized and tailored to you. You are the client. You want to change your life in a way that gets you to feeling better, gets you more success, gets you happier. And just having that accountability and perspective, again, is really key to helping you put the steps in place to get there.
Right, exactly. I love how you are honing in as a health coach, because so many health coaches out there want the big group programs or, really, really get involved online or what have you, but you've really honed in to the relationship, which is where we start. We start everything. I think every single interview I've done so far, we've talked about relationships. So
the big piece.
yeah, it's a huge piece, because that's who we are as human beings, is the relationship, and really connecting with our client and really seeing those big transformations. I mean, my goodness, just a week's time and all of these things have already happened.
Yes.
So you're a real testament to honing in on what it is you're meant to do, and not so much of what everybody else is or what all the noise is out there, but really honing in what you're meant to do. And I think as health coaches, we forget about the circle of life. And, as IAN coaches, we can tend to forget about that and just start focusing on all kinds of other things and needing another program and needing this and needing that. Oh my goodness. We rush after the shiny object syndrome, right?
Yes, for sure. Oh, I've done the same thing. We sign up for courses and weekends and all these things, and we're left with all these tools, which are amazing. But we're still forgetting that listening and holding space for people is a form of healing, right? We forget some of the tools of finding out what the person needs and what matters to them most, and going from that place. And so, yeah, I think we get overwhelmed with all the tools we have, but it's really meeting someone where they're at, right? And hearing what they need and going from that starting point.
Right, exactly. So how do you find that you are actually attracting these people? In what ways are you attracting them?
Great question. Yeah. So I'm on all the social platforms. I love playing on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I love doing Facebook Live video. I do go out and do seminars and group talks. I send a newsletter. But I really, I've done all the things over the last 8 years. So I find that I really have found a system now that's resonating with people and attracting more people that way. I really would say that I'm just transparent. I'm very honest and open. I'm going to go deeper with you than maybe some other people in your life will, but it's from a good place. And I'm going to tell you the things I see, and I'm going to be willing to say the things that maybe other people wouldn't be willing to say to you, because it's for your learning and growing, right? And so that's really been fantastic as far as creating that deeper connection with people. That's one of my yearnings. So when we can connect deeper, we really create a level of intimacy and freedom and joy to just be flowing and being alive. And, you get to a certain age, it's like, we're all wearing all these masks all the time. And it's like, you know what? We're not alone. We're not on our own. We're all going through the same things. And I think that vulnerability and that courage is really key to healing and wellness, frankly.
Exactly. And I think you've said the big majority of it. It's honing in on those things for that individual person.
Right.
And if we focus too much on a huge, broad spectrum, we kind of lose what that connection actually can be, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I always view the person in front of me as just a gift. They are so magical. There is so much potential. And even if they can't see it right here, right now in this moment, I'm going to hold the vision for them. And we're going to start creating that vision so they can shift their mindset into feeling more confident, feeling that self-esteem, and saying like, oh yeah, that person in second grade told me I wasn't good enough and I didn't matter. And I'm still believing that, right? So the mindset is a huge, huge piece that we have to manage and maintain all day long, right? And that's a huge part of the mental health piece of it. So again, it's not just the food, it's that mindset. And what you're telling yourself matters, and who you're associating with matters. So all the things that you do, those are the things that are going to get you to the next level. And stop sort of listening to that inner roommate, which is that voice in your head that's keeping you safe and stuck and small. It's just fear, right? We all have it. We know it's there. We can thank it and say, thanks, fear, but I don't need you right now. I'm not being chased by a bear. I can go and do this. And that's the thing, is like just taking that bigger risk in life. You learn, you grow. And I think that's a beautiful place to play.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of, you stated being open and, receptive to your clients and really seeing exactly what it is that they are feeling, and being able to kind of see right through that. And the other thing that I like that you had pointed out was it has to do a lot with who you're associating with. It goes back to what we were taught as kids, you know, be careful who your friends are, you know, and I think we kind of get away from that as we get older and as adults, because we tend to be put in these bubbles with either who we're working with or who we're forced to be around, and we forget those boundaries that we as adults have the right to. We have the right to have those boundaries.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, one of the things you said reminded me of excuses. You know, I can spot an excuse from a mile away. You know, I can see it. And my coach can spot my excuses from a mile away. You know, I'm no different. We all have excuses. And it's just something that, you know, maybe we're skeptical, or we're not as open to try it, or we've tried it before and it didn't work, so why try again? You know, those are some of the things that come up. And you're so right. Like, we all have them, but how do we tap in and get curious and present to, are those things serving us? Are they getting us to the happiness and the joy and the freedom that we desire, that we say we want? Or are we, you know, playing small?
Yeah, exactly. And joy is what we're all striving for. It's not necessarily being happy all the time, or being, you know, having this amazing, huge, magnificent, you know, life. It's being joyful and finding joy in the small things. And as health coaches, that's what we kind of specialize in, is to just kind of narrow down those little things and going back, like we talked about at the very beginning of the interview, of those very small little steps, those small things that are going to make the big change.
You're right. And I think, you know, the mind can always go to something negative, right? And then we can call a friend and we can just get into the drama and get negative really quickly, right? Like, we just can do that. But that's why I think journaling is so great, because you can just get yourself a beautiful journal, and each morning write down 3 things you're grateful for. You can always find something. If not, choose your bed, choose the food in your refrigerator, choose the sun. You know, start real basic. Sometimes that's where we have to go. And as you continue that practice, you can just keep planting those seeds in your mind of, you know what, there's always something to be grateful for, truly.
Yes, absolutely. So, well, I am very grateful for this interview. I absolutely love the time that we spent together. And how can people get a hold of you, Sheila?
Great question. Thanks. I've enjoyed my time as well. It's always fun talking to someone who's like-minded, and we just see where the conversation takes us. So thanks.
Exactly.
Yeah, people can get a hold of me at lovechange.me. You can find me on LinkedIn under Sheila Petersen, on Instagram at Healthy Life Coach Sheila, and on Facebook under Love Change or Sheila Petersen. Thank you so much.
Perfect. So, and I will have all of this information on the show notes for those who are tuning in from whichever platform you're on. It will be in the show notes. So whether you're on iTunes, LinkedIn, Facebook, where else am I posting this? YouTube. Just, you know, look for those, Sheila's information in the show notes, and be sure to subscribe to the channel wherever you're at. If you're on the YouTube channel, if you're on iTunes, like our Facebook page. It's Health Coach Impact. We're on Facebook. So thank you again, Sheila, for being our wonderful guest today. And for our audience, we will see you in the next interview. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone.